Hey everyone, welcome back to At the Movies. I'm Scott Wolfile, and as usual, we're here to discuss going to the movies. More importantly, why we think that movie-going experience is so impactful, and what it means as an exhibitor to bring that movie-going experience to an audience. Today I wanted to take the opportunity to share a conversation that we had had with Paul Gunsky. And Paul is the owner of the CineLux Theatres. They are a Northern California-based cinema chain. They've been in operation since 1966. They're a completely family-owned company, and we had the opportunity to speak with Paul on August 21st regarding his family's history in the industry, their operational status during this quarantine, and any steps they've been taking moving forward to ensure a safe movie-going experience for their guests when they are allowed to finally reopen their doors. Paul is a super nice guy, runs some really great theaters out in California. So if you are in that area as things start to reopen, we definitely recommend checking out Paul and CineLux. But yeah, we're really, really excited to share just a small little piece of Paul's story here at the movies.
Give us just your quick background as well as the quick history of CineLux, because this is a family entertainment company based in Northern California, dating back to 1966. So tell us a little bit about you, CineLux, and then we'll get into some specifics about what makes CineLux so great.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Yeah, I was literally born into the industry. I'm second generation. My parents started with their first theater in Campbell, California in 1966. And my earliest memories go back to everything theater, dinner conversations. Just about everything was focused around the family business. I started actually working in the theaters when I was about 10 years old, maybe 11. I think I was threading projectors at about age 12 with the large 6,000 foot reels with one changeover. And it went from there. I really developed a passion and a love for the industry. So, I grew up, it was a family business. There was two theaters. There was one in Campbell and one in San Jose. Extremely competitive. All the big players were in town. So it was always very difficult for my family to survive in that atmosphere. So I managed the theaters. I did everything from being a projectionist, a janitor, worked my way up to assistant manager and eventually manager when I was going to college. After college, decided to stay with the family business and eventually just spanned out from those two theaters and took advantage of opportunities within our geographic area. Some of it was in the late 90s when there was a little bit of reorganization going on within the industry, and there were some opportunities to take over other theaters. And from that, we've grown from 2 locations now to 7 locations. Still very small, very locally operated here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, but 7 locations, that's no joke. That's a real business, employing a lot of people and entertaining a lot of people in that region. So now that you're up to 7 locations, what was the catalyst that charged the growth to get to 7, and how long did that take you?
It's really been up until our last acquisition, which was in actually January 1 of 2019. So it's been just a slow progression as opportunities presented themselves. I guess, from the core of the 2 theaters that my family started with, the other 5 were just opportunities that presented themselves. Most of them were situations that were underdeveloped and not being used to their best potential. So we went in and analyzed how to remodel, refurbish to today's standards, and really transform these theaters into wonderful movie-going neighborhood houses.
When you think of going to the movies, what's the one thing you love about going to see a movie in a movie theater that you can't replicate anywhere else?
Oh boy. Probably just the entire experience of walking through that front door, smelling the popcorn, going in and sitting down, and then just sharing that experience with a nice audience. Hearing the conversation after the movie's over, even having a conversation with whoever you were with after the movie. I think it's the whole experience from when you walk through that front door until you leave.
Yeah, you know, I find it really interesting that when we choose to go see a movie versus just flip one on our TV or a tablet or whatever, that we really take time, and we really take time to build up the anticipation of getting ready and going and getting into the trailers and letting the auditorium get dark. And then as over the last couple months, I was really trying to figure out, like, what's the emotion and what's that feeling you get when you go to the movies or when you're watching a movie. But what I really found out, and you just hit on it, was it's really our emotions after the movie that make the going to the movie so intense, because you feel empowered, you feel joy, and you can feel those things a little bit, I think, when you see something on TV, but when you're this immersed in the experience of going to a movie theater, I think it's just intensified and it brings people together. So
No, yeah. What you said, Paul, in the beginning too, is just like when you walk in, the smell, like immediately that nostalgia is there when you start to smell the popcorn and all the different, candies and things that are in the lobby. For me, that reminds me of like childhood and happy memories. And I think, don't they say something about like the sense of smell has like some sort of like percentage of nostalgia? But I feel that in a movie theater. So I love that you said that, because it is from when you put your first foot in the door that you feel nostalgic, and it's always a happy place to be, even if you shared a movie experience that made you sad or something like that. It was a shared experience. So when you walk in the door, you're happy. You guys are in California. I know you're more in the northern half of California. Are you still closed? Is it by region or is it by state for you guys right now?
It's actually both. So
Okay.
the state did open up movie theaters. I think it was back in May. No, excuse me, it might have been June. But then because of the rising numbers, the state pulled back. So right now, movie theaters are not one of the allowed businesses in California. We hope that changes very, very soon. But then it is also up to the local health department as well. So
Okay.
even for the short window that movie theaters were allowed, our Santa Clara County did not allow movie theaters.
Got it.
Four of our theaters are located. We were getting set to open in Santa Cruz County, and unfortunately, just as we were starting to pull things together, the state pulled back. So right now we're in a wait and see. But right now it's not allowed, and again, it's both state and county here.
Got it. So how have you guys, obviously very, very tough time for you guys, how are you guys handling everything and what are you doing in this time?
Yeah, so when this started, probably like most movie theater operators, we honestly felt that this was going to be a 3-week shutdown.
Yeah.
So we said goodbye to our staff and we'll see you in 3 weeks. Can't wait to see you. And here we are almost 6 months later. So what we've done is location by location, we've gone through and we've done a lot of cleaning, a lot of renovating. We, like every other theater operator, I'm sure we purchased a boatload of PPE that's waiting to get going. We've established a lot of policies. And that was basically the first step. And then once we really got through that, we really had to look inward to do anything to raise a little bit of funds in any way. So we started with what we call Take Home the Popcorn event. And what that is basically, some people call it curbside popcorn. And we've been doing that on a weekly basis at a few locations. And that's helped go through some of our stock, and certainly is nowhere near the level of revenue that we have, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
And given us the ability to also hire back a few people to do these. So that's what we've done. And then recently, as we've come to the reality that this shutdown here, especially in California, could last a little bit longer than we had anticipated, we are now developing a pop-up drive-in, and we have that just about ready to go in Gilroy. As you're probably aware, right now in Northern California, there's a lot of very unfortunate wildfires. So
Yes.
we're probably going to push that off until the air quality improves. But we're pretty well ready to go there, as well as Scotts Valley. But certainly Scotts Valley is very affected right now by the wildfires. So.
Yeah.
But that is also what we're doing. Looking forward to doing it, kind of cutting our teeth and learning a lot along the way about outdoor movies and drive-ins. And there'll probably be some more locations after that if this continues to drag on.
Yeah. Sounds like you guys have done some, quick innovation, considering, you had to really act quickly.
No, we honestly felt that we were going to be up and going on all cylinders, June, July, and unfortunately that just didn't happen. So now we're looking just to make the most out of what we have.
Sure.
And, yeah.
But when you finally do get the go-ahead to open the doors and let people back in, what are your plans to, start promoting that? Do you have any special events planned, or, anything that you've been kind of saving up for this big, reopening?
Yeah, and add on to that, like, what do you think that future looks like? So what do you guys imagine it's going to look like? What do you need to do? What do you think is going to be different about that?
Well, we have the benefit, the only good thing about having a theaters in California is the fact that we have the benefit of looking to what all our brethren is doing outside of California and getting ready. And I think what's going on in the industry, not only through NATO, but through individual companies out there, is amazing. I think the communication that's going on, the policies, the procedures, the protocols, and getting it out to their guests prior to opening, I think, is so important. And NATO has certainly been very, very good, I think, in helping the entire industry through this with marketing, with policies, and with procedures. So what we anticipate doing really is, once we do have a date in mind, as we get closer, we will educate our guests what they can expect and how going to our theaters will be a safe experience. And then there'll certainly be lots of signage at the theaters. And of course, much more staff on duty to take care of all the new protocols.
What's the number one thing that you think you guys need to do? What does CineLux need to do to draw its audience back? And then what's the one thing that the movie-going public can do to help support that?
Maybe two things that we need to do is communicate what we're doing to our guests before they get there. I think that our guests are certainly going to expect a very well-organized and well-executed safety protocols. And we want to make that front and center before they come. I think if we can't do that, I'm not sure we're going to be successful in bringing a decent amount of folks back to our cinemas. And to follow up on that, I think that it's going to be really important to train our crew so that everybody's on the same page for their safety and for the guest safety. I think they really go hand in hand. So I think it's a matter of communication, training, and execution, really.
And switching gears, what are you excited for film-wise coming out, either the rest of this year or next year? Is there a film that you're really anticipating personally, or for the theater, either or?
I think, bringing these big epic pictures back is going to be so important. We know that's why people go to the movies. Of course, it's important that we have wonderful facilities, but ultimately it's the movie that's going to bring folks back. So, there's so many films. I am a huge Bond film fan, so really looking forward to that. Who's not looking forward to seeing the next Top Gun? So
Everybody.
That's
Everyone's
come
looking
up a
forward to it.
lot. That comes up a lot. We are all
I
very
would say
excited.
that was my number one most anticipated film this year was going to be the Top Gun film, and then Bond close second, Tenet for sure. I'm excited that Wonder Woman's still holding. But there's again, I think that this is when it's safe, and that different people are going to have a different sensibility on when they feel it's okay for them. We even have had that discussion on this podcast before about who feels safe when. As we wrap up here, Paul, and thank you so much for being a guest and showcasing CineLux with us. Is there something you want to share with your audience there in Northern California about the importance that CineLux serves, not only as a community gathering place, but in those communities, and something you want to share with your communities there?
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. More than anything, I'd just like to express that we're here and we're ready when you're ready, and when it's safe to go back, and obviously when we're allowed to. And within that, we understand, just as you mentioned, there's some folks that simply aren't going to be ready to go back, and we certainly understand that. But for the folks who are ready, when we are allowed to do it, we're looking forward to it. There's certainly going to be decreased capacities, and it's going to take a while to ramp back up. And it could be just a natural progression as people's faith and confidence gets built up to go back into movie theaters. So we're looking forward to that opportunity. We really are, and look forward to getting back to what we do. We really miss it.
Well, Paul, thank you so much. All the best when the drive-in gets going. All the best on the takeout popcorn events, and then certainly when your theaters, the CineLux Theatres, get open again. We really encourage the community to get out there and support you guys and enjoy being at the movies. So thanks so much.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you.